All right, let's talk about the big one, the clash that's been hanging over the entire story for years. A fight that feels like it's been brewing since day one. We're breaking down the ultimate showdown, the inevitable collision between two emperors that's absolutely destined to shake the world to its very core. Shanks versus Blackbeard.
This single quote says it all, doesn't it? It just frames the whole thing perfectly. This tells us right away this isn't just another turf war or a fight for some title. No, this is a world-changing event. The stakes are as high as they get, so high that even the storyteller is just hoping that everyone makes it out alive. And that's not exactly a vote of confidence.
So, to really get to the heart of this thing, we've got to look back, way back. This isn't some simple rivalry that just popped up out of nowhere. This thing runs deep. It feels less like a choice and more like destiny, you know? A path that was carved out for them by the legendary clash of their fathers.
And look at this timeline. The seeds for this whole conflict were planted 38 years ago at God Valley. That's where we had Garling Figureland, who is very likely Shanks' father, and Roxty Zebek, Blackbeard's kind of spiritual predecessor, have their legendary battle. That one event basically put their ideological sons on a collision course they could never avoid. Fast forward a bit, Blackbeard gives Shanks that iconic scar, and now, well, here we are. That final, fated confrontation is right on our doorstep.
Okay, the story behind this scar is absolutely crucial. Shanks himself told Whitebeard this wasn't some cheap shot, it wasn't a sneak attack, he wasn't caught off guard. Blackbeard gave him this wound while Shanks was fully alert, totally on guard. Just let that sink in for a second. A man with some of the most powerful observation hockey in the world, a guy who can literally see into the future, was scarred by Blackbeard before Blackbeard even had a devil fruit. If that isn't the biggest warning sign in the world, I don't know what is.
And that brings us right to the core of the matchup, the clash between the captains themselves. And really, it's a perfect clash of philosophies. In one corner, you've got Shanks, the undisputed king of pure, raw hockey. And in the other, you've got Blackbeard, a man who has hunted down and collected two of the most insane devil fruits in existence. This is the ultimate test, right? Which road to power is truly supreme?
And this tale of the tape really lays out their tactical differences. Shanks is all about direct, overwhelming force. His divine departure, that insane slash pact with Conqueror's hockey, is basically a one-shot fights-over kind of attack. And his observation killer ability, it literally stops his opponents from seeing the future. That's a direct counter to Blackbeard's whole style. But Blackbeard, he's got the world-shattering quake fruit and the power-canceling dark fruit. But let's be real, his true weapon, it's not the fruits, it's his cunning. It's his willingness to play dirty and just wait for that one perfect opening to strike. But of course, it's never just about the captains, is it? The crews themselves are a perfect reflection of their leaders. With the red-haired pirates, you have what's been called the most balanced and unbreakable crew out there, a tight-knit family of hockey specialists. And facing them, the Blackbeard pirates, a chaotic, thrown-together mess of some of the world's most dangerous and disruptive people. I mean, the difference in their philosophy is just night and day. Shanks' crew, it's all built on a foundation of trust and loyalty, just like Roger's crew was. They're a family, period. Blackbeard's crew, though, they're a loose alliance, only held together by greed and a lust for power. They're inheriting the chaotic legacy of the Rocks pirates. And that lack of a real bond, that's their biggest weakness. It's a crack in their foundation that could just shatter when things get tough. So let's break down some of the key matchups here. First up, the right-hand men. You've got Ben Beckman, a certified genius with one of the highest IQs in the world and insane hockey, going up against Shiryu of the Rain. Now, Shiryu was already a monster swordsman, on par with Magellan. But now he's got the clear fruit, which makes him invisible. That's a fascinating duel right there. Genius-level foresight against the ultimate in stealth and deception. And then you have the snipers. And oh man, what a matchup this is. You've got Yasop, whose observation hockey is so nuts, he can apparently perceive his opponent's thoughts, which basically makes him the world's greatest marksman. And who's he up against? Van Augur, a guy who can instantly teleport himself and his buddies anywhere with the warp fruit. That is a tactical nightmare. How do you possibly hit a target that can be anywhere in an instant? It's ultimate precision versus ultimate mobility. But in a fight this huge, there are always going to be wild cards, those unpredictable things that can just flip the whole battle on its head. And when you're talking about Blackbeard, unpredictable might as well be his middle name. His secrets and the, let's say, questionable loyalty of his crew, that could be the key to this whole thing. The one factor that decides who walks away and who doesn't.
The mysteries around Teach are just a massive wild card. I mean, Marco himself said his body is strange. The dude supposedly never sleeps. His Jolly Roger has 3 skulls, which has led to all these crazy theories about him having multiple personalities or maybe even multiple souls. And all of that leads to the absolutely terrifying idea that he might be able to wield a 3rd devil fruit. Any one of these secrets could be his ultimate ace in the hole. And then there's maybe the biggest wild card of them all. 95%. That's what people are estimating as the probability that Kuzan, the former Admiral Al-Kiji, is going to betray Blackbeard. It almost feels like a sure thing, right? A betrayal at the most critical moment could create the perfect opening that Shanks and his crew need to win. And you know, this whole potential betrayal by Kuzan, it's like history is literally repeating itself. It's a direct parallel to how the Rocks pirates fell apart. It was their own internal fighting and lack of loyalty that led to their defeat at God Valley. Blackbeard's crew, which is modeled right after Rocks, seems destined to have that exact same fatal flaw. It's like a built-in self-destruct button, just waiting for someone to press it. Okay, so let's get to the final verdict. We've looked at the stats, the tactics, the history, so who actually wins this thing? Well, the answer might just depend on whether you're looking at it from a pure power perspective or from the perspective of what the overall story needs to happen next. Look, here's the bottom line. On paper, you'd think Shanks has this in the bag. We've been told over and over that the absolute peak of hockey can overcome any devil fruit. His speed, his ability to kill observation hockey, and its completely unified crew, they are the perfect counter to everything Blackbeard does. But this is a story, and in a story, the strongest guy doesn't always win. Blackbeard's dirty fighting and the huge narrative shockwave that a major character death would cause, well, that might be exactly what the story needs to push us into the final saga. So when you look at it purely from a storytelling point of view, the scales start to tip. Even though our hearts, and honestly the power scaling logic, might be with Shanks, the narrative arc really seems to point towards a Blackbeard victory. It would raise the stakes for Luffy to an unbelievable level and truly cement Blackbeard as the final, ultimate villain he has to take down to become the Pirate King. And let's be real, if Blackbeard does win, it's not going to be a clean fight. It'll be through treachery, backstabbing, and using every dirty trick he can think of. A win for him would create this massive power vacuum, sure, but way more importantly, it would give Luffy the ultimate motivation, that final personal reason to hunt Blackbeard down and end his reign of terror for good. And that's where we'll leave it. I want to leave you with this question to chew on. For more than 20 years, Shanks has been this pillar of stability, a symbol of the good pirates in the world. So if a legend like him actually falls, what does the dawn of this new era really look like in a world where Blackbeard is the one left standing? The implications are just immense. The entire future of the world is hanging on this one fight.